This is Oklahoma's own News on 6.
And tonight's top stories are all about your children's schools. News on 6 reporter Tony Russell's in Muskogee with a lawmaker who wants to stop the legislature from ordering up new programs and then not paying for them.
Marty Casper is in Broken Arrow, where parents want answers as a mysterious shakeout continues in that district's administration.
But first, here at 10, Annie Chang's in Tulsa with reaction to our story that Quick Trip clerks make more than degreed and tenured public school teachers. Annie?
That's right, Scott. Well, Emery's post has gotten 3,200 shares and hundreds of comments. Tulsa superintendent says, well, this shouldn't come as a shock to anyone.
Shauna Mott-Wright has been teaching at Tulsa Public Schools for 12 years, but she's still making less than a starting full-time employee at Quick Trip.
And all of the experience and the knowledge that we as educators bring should not be making less than one of my children who just graduated high school.
The comments poured in on the Facebook post comparing Quick Trip employees' wages and benefits to those of Tulsa public school teachers. Most agree the income disparity is shocking, but some blamed teachers for choosing this profession.
To me, is both offensive but also unproductive and just demonstrates a lack of awareness for the situation.
Tulsa Public School Superintendent Dr. Deborah Giss says the salary difference is no surprise. What's more, Quick Trip employees get raises every 6 months, while Oklahoma teachers haven't seen a universal raise in nearly a decade.
Unlike other places where teachers get regular and annual increases, step increases plus raises on occasion, we have completely stagnated here in Oklahoma.
Mott-Wright, vice president of the Tulsa Teachers Union, has this message for lawmakers.
If you want to attract and retain teachers, maybe you could start by showing them you value us at least as much as Quick Trip values their employees.
As you can see, the conversation is still very much alive on Facebook and Twitter. There's still a lot of room for nuance in this conversation, so if you'd like to weigh in, just head to our website at newson6.com. Reporting live in Tulsa, I'm Annie Chang, News on 6.
New tonight, Catoosa Public Schools needs a new superintendent. This week, Rick Kibbe said he's retiring at the end of June. Kibbe was named Superintendent of the Year back in 2009 by the Oklahoma Association of School Administrators. The Broken Arrow School Board unanimously approved a redistricting plan tonight that will impact 1,000 students next fall. They will be mainly elementary school students. It's being done because of the district's growth. Some parents were upset about having their children change schools, and the board said tonight a new elementary school will be named Timber Ridge.
Tonight, the Broken Arrow Board also accepted the resignation of Chief Financial Officer Dwayne Thompson. His departure comes just weeks after Superintendent Jared Mendenhall suddenly left the district. News on 6 reporter Marty Casper was at tonight's board meeting to try to get some answers about all the sudden and unexplained changes there. Marty?
Scott, not only did I not get any additional information, I was told shame on you for asking. We waited until tonight's board meeting had ended to try and get information about why Dr. Jared Mendenhall suddenly left late last year and the timing of why 3 other administrators also announced they were leaving.
Ask me if you can work through me, that would be perfect.
But before we could introduce ourselves, we got stopped.
I will ask her for you. If you guys don't mind, I'll bring them out there. So
we asked to speak with Superintendent Dr. Janet Dunlop and Board President Cheryl Kelly.
President Kelly? President. She's going to just defer to Dr. Dunlop.
Dr. Dunlop talked about how the leadership team will save $250,000 a year and make the district more efficient, but not about the prior superintendent's departure.
Any information you'd like to add about why the superintendent left, why we're seeing a lot at once?
Now, shame on you.
Shame on me.
Dr. Dunlop, I think what she would like to say is just that she does not have any information about that because those were confidential conversations between the board.
When we agreed to have this interview, turn the camera off, please. Nope. When we agreed to have this interview, you agreed that we wouldn't talk about that.
I did not agree to not talk about anything.
Okay. Sir, we wish Dr. Mendenhall all the luck in the world. We know that he is transitioning into another opportunity.
Dr. Dunlop pointed to every employee's right to confidentiality, saying Mendenhall deserved it too.
Don't you think they deserve an answer why? You don't think they deserve to know why their superintendent left?
The answer's been given by the board that it was a mutual separation agreement.
Not willing to give any insight.
Was there a problem academically? Was there a problem personally?
As we've stated before, there was a mutual separation agreement between Dr. Mendenhall and the board.
Dr. Dunlop adding people should have no concerns with the timing of Mendenhall's leaving, nor with transparency issues.
I don't think so at all. If we had a transparency issue, then we wouldn't take this opportunity to share all of our leadership publicly.
Both Dr. Dunlop and Holland Handy say that transitions happen all the time in districts and that Broken Arrow is focused on the future and providing for its students. Reporting live in Broken Arrow, Marty Casper, News on 6.
The Union School District is hoping voters there will pass a $26 million bond issue. That election is Valentine's Day, February 14th. If approved, the bond would help pay for the second stage of construction on a new elementary school, along with paying for a STEM initiative and new classrooms and high school stadium renovations.
I think in light of these economic times that we find ourselves in right now in Oklahoma, our bond issues are really the lifeblood of what we do in our existence.
The deadline to register to vote in that bond election is Friday. You can find a more detailed breakout of the bond money at our website, newson6.com.
A state lawmaker wants to make sure schools in Oklahoma don't have to bear the burden for new programs the legislature creates but never pays for. News on 6 reporter Tony Russell has reaction tonight on how unfunded mandates are hurting school districts like Muskoge's.
State Representative Avery Frick says this new bill would force the state legislature to fund programs if they choose to mandate them on public schools.
Muskogee School Superintendent Mike Gard says reading tests and some professional development programs are some of the mandates the state requires school districts to implement, but not all of them are funded properly by the legislature.
Our legislature does things with great intent, like the Reading Sufficiency Act or the AIDS remediation program, but if they don't have the proper funding, then we're in a position where we're not doing it as well as it should be done for our kids, or the local district has to kick in some money so that it is done properly.
No state funding and already tight budgets, school districts are being forced to carry out these programs.
We ask our teachers and we ask our school districts to do more, but we aren't providing them the funding to do that.
State Representative Avery Fricks filed House Bill 1115, which would prevent the state legislature from creating new mandates unless they're funded.
Well, you know, what I think that this bill does is it makes the legislature think before they pass legislation as to what the financial and physical effect will be on our school districts and on our teachers. And I think that that's my goal of passing this legislation.
Superintendent Gard says he agrees with the proposed legislation.
Given the tight budgets that everyone's on, I think we're doing the best we can in our local districts.
The bill still has a long way to go through the process, and if it becomes law, it wouldn't go in effect until November. In Muskogee, Tony Russell, News on 6.
A breaking news update now since our 6 o'clock news. That's when we reported Wagner County deputies arrested Cody Thompson on arson charges related to a mobile home fire last month. Deputies sent us these photos of the arrest in OK. On Sunday, deputies arrested Josh Harrington for obstruction, and both Harrington and Thompson are considered persons of interest in the death of 15-year-old Brennan Davis. Davis' burned body was found Wednesday in the Jackson Bay area of Fort Gibson Lake. Pryor City Council approved buying 23 body cameras for its police officers at their meeting tonight. The police chief says he'll submit the $32,000 order tomorrow.
State Representative Will Forkiller of Stillwell is not cooperating with the House investigation into accusations of sexual harassment. The committee is meeting this week at the Capitol. A formal complaint was filed against Forkiller last year. Forkiller tells News on 6 he isn't sure what it's all about, but says he didn't do anything wrong.
Absolutely nothing. There's nothing. I did nothing wrong. All I was informed of was that a page had made a statement that I had made her feel uncomfortable. And that was all I heard.
The committee is also investigating Republican Dan Kirby of Tulsa. He's accused of sexually harassing a member of his office staff. That woman was later given a $45,000 taxpayer-funded settlement authorized by former House Speaker Jeff Hickman and disguised as cleaning supplies in the House budget. And new since our news at 6 o'clock, the House Republican caucus released a statement addressing privacy concerns rising out of that investigation. Representative Josh Cockcroft of Oklahoma City says the sole reason for holding the these meetings in private is to protect the confidential information of victims and unelected witnesses, not to protect lawmakers.
In the day ahead, Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt will be on Capitol Hill in Washington for his confirmation hearing as director of the Environmental Protection Agency. He'll appear before the Senate Environmental and Public Works Committee, which is chaired by Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe. The hearing's only expected to last one day, although Democrats and environmentalists vow to fight Pruitt's nomination. General Motors is planning to invest $1 billion in its U.S. plants and add thousands of new white-collar jobs. GM says the investments and jobs have been in the pipeline for years, but only announced now. Incoming President Donald Trump has taken credit for GM's move, claiming his critical tweets of car makers are responsible for keeping jobs in the United States. President Obama commuted the prison sentences of 209 people today.
And among them was Oklahoman Chelsea Manning. As Weijia Jiang reports, Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison, the longest punishment ever for leaking U.S. intelligence secrets.
President Obama commuted the sentence of Chelsea Manning, a transgender former Army intelligence analyst. Manning was convicted of leaking Army documents and other offenses in 2013 and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Manning admitted to handing classified documents over to the anti-secrecy website WikiLeaks. She went by the name Bradley during her time in the Army. Some lawmakers are not pleased.
This guy's a traitor, and I'm disappointed.
Manning has been compared to former NSA contractor Edward Snowden, who leaked classified information on U.S. spy programs. But the White House said there's a difference between the two.
Chelsea Manning is somebody who went through the military criminal justice process. Mr. Snowden fled into the arms of an adversary.
Manning has asked for gender reassignment surgery. She tried twice last year to commit suicide while incarcerated at the all-male military prison at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. Manning is now set to be released on May 17th. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Washington.
All clear tonight on our Osage Casino Skycam network, but coming up in 6 minutes, Travis tells us if we're in store for another wet weekend.
And later, these Tulsa middle schoolers are getting a front row seat to presidential history.
Plus, more Oklahomans brave jail cells to protest pipelines. Up next at 10, where the latest demonstrations occurred.